This is News 8.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us online tonight. I'm Kirsten Holmes.
And I'm Steve Price. All right, so we don't have our usual 6:30 newscasts over on CBS 8 right now because we have some racing. Going to have that for the next couple of weeks on Saturdays. We will have a special edition of News 8 at 7 o'clock on CBS 8, but you know, if you're heading out tonight, you're not going to be around at 7 o'clock. We still wanted to get you caught up on all of the big stories of the day. Obviously, the big one is the lifting of most coronavirus-related rules starting on Tuesday. And this is the date we have all been waiting for, June 15th.
Right.
It means that we can finally go into restaurants without masks.
Right.
We can have a lot more people inside of restaurants.
Look at that.
You know, as we've been saying, life will be getting back to normal.
Some sense of normalcy, right? We're all ready for that. Okay, so Cal OSHA released its new rules last night regarding masks at work, because that's the big question that everyone is asking, right? Do I have to wear my mask at work? So listen to this. Under the revised guidelines, employees who are fully vaccinated, raise your hand, Steve, because hey, we out here, you are not required to wear a mask at work or to practice social distancing. You don't have to worry about that anymore. However, those who are not vaccinated would still be required to wear a facial covering while they are at work.
And remember, this is a big change because when Cal OSHA first came out, they said if 7 people are in the room, 6 of them are vaccinated, 1 is not, everyone would have to wear their mask at work. And Californians were saying, this is in total contrast to what the CDC is saying. So last night, Cal OSHA had a meeting and they decided, all right, maybe we were off track a little bit. So kudos to them for deciding that. Kind of some weird parts here, though. There are some exceptions to this mask requirement for unvaccinated employees. When they're alone in a room or a vehicle, they don't have to wear their mask. When they're eating or drinking, provided they're at least 6 feet apart from other coworkers, they don't have to wear their mask. If they have a specific medical or mental condition which precludes them from wearing a facial covering, or if they're performing some type of a specific job function where you really can't wear a mask. It's not safe for you to do that. Obviously, they don't want people to get injured because they have a mask on. Now, employers would also be required to provide those unvaccinated employees with facial coverings if they request it. So if you don't have a mask, your work has to provide you one according to these new Cal OSHA guidelines. Yeah,
I was working on this story yesterday and went to Governor Newsom's presser where he gave out another round of $50,000 to people who were getting vaccinated.
Not me, by the way.
I didn't win either. I kept looking for my email and my phone. I didn't win $50,000. If you did, you can make a donation to the Kirsten Holmes Foundation. It would be appreciated. But we noticed that that was the biggest thing. A lot of people were asking, the CDC guidelines and Cal OSHA's guidelines are so different. When are they going to get in alignment? Someone even asked if he would do an executive order to like make it happen. He was like, not touching that with a 10-foot pole. And then Cal OSHA got in line.
It was so confusing. And then people can walk into businesses without a mask, but if you're a worker, even if you're vaccinated, you still had to have the mask. It was a lot. It was a lot for people to figure out. And who's going to be the police, right? I mean, who's going to sit there and check what everybody's doing? And,
now, you know, they've had some people pretend to be the police. I've seen the Facebook and the Instagram videos. Y'all got to simmer down with that. Okay, so the Cal OSHA board is scheduled to vote on their revisions. Another interesting tidbit, on June 17th. That's interesting because the state is reopening on the 15th.
2 days earlier.
And then Cal OSHA is going to vote on those new rules on the 17th.
Sometimes California is just California, right?
We'll take it.
We do some weird things here.
It's weird, but hey,
we're not Florida weird.
Going forward,
but we're California
That's what you're doing.
All right. So, you know, the other big story, right, is obviously the weather, right? I mean, everybody's talking about the weather. So we've got the weather. People want to get out. Restrictions are loosening. So one of our photographers, Eric Swanson, went out to the zoo today. Oh, my goodness. Look at this crowd at the zoo today. Still got to wear your mask. You're supposed to be socially distanced. I'm not so much. But
this looks like a pre-pandemic zoo. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so definitely a good-sized crowd there. Now, they're going to be opening fully on Tuesday as well. But at this point, you are supposed to make a reservation ahead of time before you can go. Or buy your tickets online in advance beforehand so they can monitor. But man, what a great day for the Pelicans.
It was a perfect day to get out to the zoo.
To hang out. Yeah, right. So. And there's some guy just walking by with his daughter. So
walking right in front of the camera.
In fact, I had a chance to go for a walk today, speaking of which I went out to the beach. Packed. I mean, there was no parking anywhere at the beach. Folks were all over the sand. The lifeguards, kudos to them, doing a great job.
Yeah.
They've already started ramping up their staffing as well.
Awesome.
Last week we were talking about the June gloom, right?
Yeah, no,
Not
look at that. I
so
don't see
much
no gloom
today.
at all. I love it.
Yeah, in fact, speaking of the June gloom, we've got Sean Stiles, who is going to join us now to talk a little bit about the weather. Sean, are you over here to join us about the weather?
He's creeping in behind you.
There he goes. How are you?
Surprise! Here I am.
We're still figuring this whole thing out with the camera angles
cool.
and everything.
I thought I'd do behind door number 3.
There you go.
Is Sean Stiles.
I mean, we thought it was a car, but apparently it's Sean Stiles.
I'll take Sean Stiles over a car any day.
Wow.
The love is real.
I must not have been a very good car, right?
You know.
So what I thought, normally I'm out here by myself.
Right.
But I thought I'd have you guys.
Oh.
You guys can ask some questions.
Okay,
Right?
questions I'll do. I'm not pointing to maps.
I'll be your
'cause
Vanna.
I'm not very
You'll be
good
our
at
Vanna.
pointing to maps.
No, so we do these seasonal averages.
Right.
So this seasonal average is over a 30-year period, which, by the way, we've just switched, and now it's gone up just a little bit because of our planet getting a little bit warmer. But as you can see, temperatures above average today. Look at this excessive heat watch.
Yikes.
And that's amazing for how widespread this is across most of San Diego. But Steve, look at where you are. I mean, that is the excessive heat warning out there. But what I thought would be cool is to see how widespread this is.
Wow.
So we expect places like Las Vegas and Phoenix to be excessive heat warning.
But even for June 11th? I mean, this is still
exceptional.
This is pretty early.
Yeah, beyond a little bit warm. And we're talking, what do you see, the 8-day forecast? So here's current temperatures. You mentioned you were at the coast today, Steve.
Yeah, this is why everybody was
it was packed up at Wind and Sea. I mean, it was like a bus had pulled in, you know.
Yeah.
But Borrego, 105 currently in the mountains. We're in the upper 70s to low 80s. And these are the look at these temperatures for tomorrow. I mean, the inland valleys, Ramona, 92, 91 Valley Center. And along the coastline, we're pushing it into the upper 60s, low 70s. So that's where all the relief will be. Inland, it's going to be very hot.
I was looking at that. I was looking at that 89 Julian,
gorgeous.
and I was thinking that's when you get your pie a la mode, right?
So so this is Palm Valley here.
Sean's just moving on. He's like, Steve, I don't have time for you and your ice cream jokes.
No. I love the ice cream, but you see this right here?
But do you see that?
I see that.
That's the casino right there. This is a view from our camera up there, and gives us a live look of what's taking place Palm Valley. So this is what's Kirsten, you're new to this whole microclimate thing.
Yeah.
So down in the valley here, it's much, much warmer. And then as you rise with altitude, which you can obviously see we're doing there, you shave off about 3 to 5 degrees for every 1,000 feet that you come up.
Go up then.
Yeah, well, that's why the mountains. 72 at San Diego International Airport. So that's where the weather station is in San Diego. We take our 30-year reading at the airport.
Awesome.
So it's always a little bit warmer because of all of the asphalt.
Exactly.
And that absorbs that heat. So just a little bit away from there, Chula Vista can usually be cooler. And we all know where this, Steve, tell us where we are.
Oh, wow. That's somewhere I need to be.
Don't stare closely there. That's Black's Beach.
Really?
This is the part where I make Sean stand like right here. So
That's the beach you told me about.
That's the optional bathing suit beach. Not legally, but the lifeguards aren't going to run up and give people tickets. And then,
good surfing, though.
Yeah, great surfing. And then up here, Steve, what's all that green up?
This is going to be the host of a big tournament next week.
Yeah, the
What
U.S.
tournament?
Open.
The U.S. Open.
Oh, my goodness, right there?
Yes.
Are you afraid of heights?
Not at all.
Okay, so see these little things right here?
Uh-huh.
You know what those are?
Is that a...
That's a paraglider.
Yes, I'm down.
And so this is the Torrey Pines Glider Port. That's where Lindbergh did some of his training when he was getting ready.
I love it. So much history here.
Yeah, it's fantastic. In fact, they were flying off Mount Soledad, but the winds were a little bit more steady there. You can go there and get a tandem flight with restrictions.
I'm trying to see how I can get that on my Rolodex to do that. That's a work story for me, right? I need to go out there and work on a story out there.
I want an Emmy doing para-hawking.
Right.
So this high pressure expands over the southwest. We're going to be really hot. Temperatures go well above average. And the heat wave through next weekend, Steve, you mentioned this. The rip currents, I checked with lifeguards and they said they were low, but they were really concerned with unexperienced people.
And it's the first time people have been in the ocean in 2 years in some cases. So you kind of forget how strong
exactly.
things can be out there.
And we go from a negative tide in the morning to just a 3.2 at 1:11 in the afternoon. But what's weird about this?
That already warming up.
Yeah, 65 degrees. So the tide goes from the high tide at 1:11, and then it goes low at 4 o'clock.
Whoa.
That quickly.
That's weird. That's
a big
totally weird.
turnaround.
That's because of the way the moon and sun are aligning right now. And how about the heat in the desert?
Yikes. So much going on.
Smoking heat out there. So here's what we're looking at. This is a satellite loop. I want to get to this other map real quick because you guys were mentioning about pressure gradients. That low up over where you are, Kirsten, that's affecting the Pacific Northwest. But you can see that. You did some weather in college, right?
I did. I just told him that right before the show. I was like, I did some weather in college. We didn't have clickers back then. No, not in college for us. We just.
So here's this map. So there's that low. And so look how tight the pressure gradients are here.
Right.
Okay. Over the high pressure, see how expansive
Everything
they
is
are?
so big and free.
It's just like compressing the air aloft, and that is what's squeezing it. And as it squeezes it, it warms it up. And watch how this high just does not move. It just sits
Just
over us.
there.
And that's Tuesday. And then watch what happens. Notice how the dark, almost brownish color takes place. High pressure's the big thing.
Yeah.
Right on into the midweek. And here's where things get really, you know, the coastline, no problem at all. But midweek, 94 on Tuesday, 89 on Wednesday, Thursday. But the heat is out in the deserts.
Wow, look at that.
You've been here, what, 30 plus years?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Have you ever seen in June
Not
a
in
stretch?
June. No, not that big in June. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really important to check on your loved ones, make sure you're staying hydrated, take breaks if you work outside. There's a lot of things you need to do to prepare for that type of heat wave.
Yeah,
And I wanted to mention about pets, kids and elderly. Make sure if you have any 3 of those, and most people have one of those 3.
Or all 3.
or all 3. Check on kids, of course. Make sure they're hydrated because kids get carried away playing outside. Elderly, they tend to just, kick back and think they're okay. But pets, when the air temperature is 85, the asphalt temperature, 128 degrees.
You have a good trick with the hand, right?
Yeah, so if you think it's too hot for your pet to go out, but you're not sure, put your bare hand on the asphalt.
That's a good trick.
And if your hand is like, wow, that's too hot, just think about your dog's
little paws.
Little paws. So definitely, I'm glad you brought that up. I almost forgot that. I'm going to go back out.
Which way?
Exit stage left.
It's Facebook, y'all.
Everybody over 40 got that. Everyone under 40 is like, I have no idea what you just said.
No idea. All right, we'll talk to you guys in a bit.
Speaking of things, said, heard.
Oh my goodness.
So everybody on Tuesday was talking about this crazy boom.
Huge boom. Did you hear it? Did you feel it? Did
8 o'clock.
Yes.
Tuesday night.
Yes.
Boom. Like windows are shaking in my neighborhood.
What did you think it was?
I mean, I thought it was a sonic boom.
Okay, so you're more familiar with it.
Right.
Me, I'm like, oh, that's just the neighbors upstairs doing something weird. I've never heard our neighbors upstairs, but they got
don't know where you're living, but
Tuesday at 8 o'clock. But no, we're all wrong.
So remember, we were like, okay, well, let's check with the military, and they're like, no, not us, not us. Today they're saying, well,
it was us.
We're not saying it was us, but we're not saying it wasn't us.
Look at this statement. Check this out. Okay, it's from MCAS or Miramar statement. It's on the boom. This was on Twitter this morning. I was like, wow, they finally said something. It says, while MCAS Miramar cannot account for every sound event that occurs within our area, in this case, the cause was possibly due to aircraft training occurring in the W291 range, approximately 30 miles southwest of San Diego over the Pacific Ocean. 2 units departed MCAS Miramar and were conducting simulated air-to-air combat training. That sounds like what that boom was.
Well, yeah, and they're not allowed to reach those speeds over land, but they can over ocean.
Yes.
And so, if you have the right conditions, Sean was showing us all the gradients and all that stuff, you get the right conditions out there, and that boom just gets louder, and we hear it, and it shakes.
The boom heard all across the county.
We think we've got it figured out.
Yeah,
we've got it figured out.
They're to blame. I'm like, they're to blame for this one. All right, so now we have the mystery figured out. Let's talk a little bit about the heat that Sean just told us all about. With the rising heat and fire danger, SDG&E was out helping some people in North County get ready for wildfire season. Now, the utility partnered with CAL FIRE and the Red Cross to put on a drive-through safety fair. This was at Bates Nut Farm and Valley Center. They gave out information, prevention tips, free emergency kit backpacks for folks to make sure that families are prepared. Now, the next wildfire safety fair will be in Julian on June 26th. At the Julian Charter School. A lot of free stuff to make sure everybody is wildfire ready.
And they've had to change this event to a drive-through thing this year, which they did last year as well. And it was a big concern. People were worried that folks weren't going to come out for it because of, usually they would do like a bunch of tables. You could talk to people, get a lot of different information. But obviously with what's going on, they had to make it a drive-through thing. But the drive-through event seems to be very popular, so that's good. And just, look, it's a reminder. You got to have the defensible space around your home. You got to help the firefighters help you, right? I mean, that's the trick.
Like everyone's had to make this pivot during COVID-19, and they were able to do that while still protecting families from wildfires. Now we got some celebrations to talk about. Look at these celebrations. Who also had to pivot.
Right. So we saw a lot of graduations were online last year. This year, though, look, they are in person today. UC San Diego graduate students on campus, Muir College today, around 3,000 grads. College was key to distributing vaccines across the county. UC San Diego was, so they were super helpful on that. And look, here's the reward for doing the right thing, right? They got to have their graduation in person. Tested students. They tested every student for coronavirus right from the start. And they really have had a relatively low case rate throughout the entire school year. So kudos to those students for doing the right thing. And, that was the reward, right?
Reward is
they got that in-person graduation. Students were relieved. It was awesome for them to have it.
You remember the stories last year when everyone was like, oh, graduations are now online. It really impacted the student experience. You remember seniors and everybody was like, oh no, but now this is the payoff, and a lot of other schools are thinking about, okay, you guys want to come back and join us? We'll see what other schools are letting last year's students come back and graduate.
I've seen a lot of schools that have said, okay, 2020, you guys come back and we'll let you do it the right way. As well. Some of those students were like, been there, done that, I'm gone. But other kids are like, you know what, my parents really wanted this, I really wanted this, I worked hard. Like Sean, I went to school for 15 years, I wanted to walk. Am I close, Sean? 15 years?
You didn't have to do Sean like that.
18 for me.
You go to college for 18 years, you get to walk. I don't care.
I love it. All right, so let's do some cute. What is this? What do we got here? I'm talking about cute puppy video. That's a cute graduation video. But let's do cute dog video.
There we go. The Westminster Dog Show.
It's time. Look at that. Look at that. That's a specimen right there.
I mean, you all don't want to see me.
Look at this. Okay, so let me tell you what we're looking at. It's the 145th Westminster Dog Show. And check this out. 4 new breeds are vying for Best in Show. Now, these are some new breeds, so these are some new words for me. Let's see what we got. We got the Doggo Argentino, the Beaver Terrier, the Belgian Lakenois, and the Barbet. Those are new dog breeds, and they are now all eligible to compete. I wonder how much it costs to own one of those new breeds.
More than I have.
All right, so it's taking place at the historic Lyndhurst Estate in Tarrytown, New York. The first time it's been out of Manhattan, and spectators and vendors, again, they weren't allowed due to ongoing coronavirus concerns. Like we said, a lot of people had to make the pivot, but look at those beautiful fur babies. Look at that little guy. Oh my gosh. I love that face. Oh, look at him. Look at all the hair. I love it. Okay. I might be thinking about getting a pet.
All right. Now we got to do some more work so we can get ready for you at 7 o'clock tonight. But those are some of the stories that we're working on. So thanks to Sean for joining us to talk about the weather. Of course, John will be here, or Jake actually is in for John tonight. He'll have sports. A scary thing happened in soccer today. A player, a world famous player, collapsed today.
It was
so we're gonna have more about that. CPR needed on the pitch out there. So we got a lot working on for 7 o'clock tonight. We'll see you then. Thanks so much for joining us.